talk about it. Tell me all about it. I'm here. I wanna know what's on your mind. Ooh, the world needs to hear from you, and I'm so glad to have a conversation to reach the nation. And it's all about you. We'll help each other to discover innovative ways to positively change the world. Let's talk about. Let's talk about. Yeah. Let's talk about conversations with Nicole.
Greetings. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, your host. And Conversations with Nicole is a talk show based in Tallahassee, Florida, focused on connecting the community through conversations. And today is what I call Mindset Monday, which is an opportunity for you, me, and my guests to chat about something interesting and intriguing. And tonight, our topic is healing, wellness, and restoration. My very special guest is Miss Brittany Payne Bruce. And y'all are gonna like this because look, healing, wellness, and restoration, just that title alone, which is actually part of what her business name is, that encompasses so much. So your comments, your questions are very much so welcome, a welcome part of this conversation. So please put your city and state in the comments so we can give you a shout out. We are live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on LinkedIn. And this is an interactive live. So we want to hear from you. It's a safe space for us to engage and communicate with one another. So I see my mom is already on. Thank you for being here, Mom, down in Miami. We got Miss Stephanie Clark. Looking forward to the conversation. Thank you so much, Steph. Appreciate you. And Miss Dr. K, Kendra Mitchell in Tallahassee. Thank you for joining us. So this is gonna be again a great show. I'm excited already just from the day. I got my FAMU gear on, as y'all can see. I got my FAMU mental health shirt on. But I'm really excited because I got the great opportunity today to go to the press conference for FAMU's 16th head men's basketball coach, Mr. Charlie Ward Jr. And it was really, really exciting. Charlie, I think very highly of him and his wife, Tanja. I've had them on my radio show. And so I think he is going to be an absolutely great addition to the athletic department at FAMU. So super excited about that and wishing him all the best, all the best. All right. So a few folks are chiming in. Christopher Davis in Tallahassee. Thank you for being here. Enigma. Yes. Thank you, E. I'm out walking. All right. That's all right. Get your steps on, Dr. K. All right, and Stephanie gave us some FAMU love. Appreciate it, appreciate it. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and share some of Miss Brittany Payne Bruce's bio. So she's a licensed mental health counselor in Florida, a licensed professional counselor in Georgia, and a qualified supervisor for mental health counselors in the state of Florida. She earned her bachelor's degree in psychology from Florida State University, go Noles, and a master's of education degree with a concentration in mental health counseling from FAMU, go Rattlers. Brittany has served as a mental health counselor for a number of years with various populations and has also served as a clinical supervisor and an adjunct professor. She is the owner and operator of Haven of Healing, Wellness, and Restoration, LLC, a private mental health counseling practice. In her practice, she provides counseling services for individuals, couples, families, and groups. Y'all help me welcome Miss Brittany Payne Bruce.
Hello. Hello.
Welcome, welcome. How you doing?
I am well. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
So tell the people, who is Brittany Payne Bruce? Not what you do, but who are you in your own words?
Awesome. Well, again, I am Brittany Payne Bruce. I am a believer in Jesus Christ. I am a wife. I am a mother. I am a daughter. I'm all of those things. I am a person who cares about people, who cares about seeing people reach their fullest potential. I care about people being healed, well, and restored to their best self. And so I truly do what I do and operate in the roles and capacities that I do because I love people. And I believe that I was sent here to effect change by way of being a mental health counselor and all of those other roles that I serve in. So that's me in a nutshell.
Love it, love it, love it. I love when people are doing what they love to do. And so
Absolutely.
that just makes for better products, better services all the way around.
Absolutely.
Yes, operating in those gifts and talents. So just briefly kind of tell us a little bit about your practice in terms of kind of who you serve and if you're accepting new clients, in person or telehealth, all of that sort of stuff.
Got you. So, as you stated earlier, the name of my practice is Haven for Healing, Wellness, and Restoration. And I truly seek for it to be really a haven, a safe place where people of all kinds can come and not just feel better. That's part of what I say to all clients. I want you to do more than just feel better. I actually want you to heal and be better. And so I serve pretty much all populations. The youngest age I serve is 4 years old, up until whenever. I don't have an age cap. I serve individuals as well as families and groups, couples. And so I provide counseling for all different kinds of populations. I have both in office availability and telehealth availability if you are in the states of Florida and Georgia. And so I am accepting clients, and I tell people just contact me and we'll work on getting you in. I just want my practice to be an experience of not just coming in, you hear something good and it tickles your fancy, but I really want people to do the work so that I can help them do the work and guide them through the process.
Nice, 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 nice. That's what we need. All right. Dr. K is already asking my question. Forms of payment.
Forms of payment are I have a secured portal that you can pay via credit, debit. You can use your, I think it's called HSA. You can use that card through the portal. I also offer business cash app payment forms, as well as when you come in, you can do old fashioned cash check money order. And I provide you, of course, with a receipt for those as well. So
Nice.
just those methods of payment.
Nice, nice, nice. All right, Kiosha. Hey, Kiosha. She said, "Do you consider yourself to be a Christian counselor?"
I am a Christian who is a counselor. And so I am able to provide counseling from a biblical basis, but I don't market or brand myself as a Christian counselor just because of the educational piece wasn't specifically in that.
Okay. Thank you for answering those questions.
Absolutely.
All right. So we got Miss Tracy Golay with us. Thank you for being here. Seta. Good evening, ladies. Thank you, Seta. Janita is on with us. Thank you for being here. And she said, God bless all mental health professionals and clinicians. Amen. Amen.
Yes.
All right. So since I have a licensed clinician on, y'all already know the drill. It's been a while, I think, since I've actually had a licensed clinician on, but it's okay. Sometimes we have coaches, we have authors, we have a bunch of different people, but I got to read my disclaimer,
Okay.
which is that all topics, past, present, and future, on Conversations with Nicole are for informational purposes only. They are not to be used as a diagnosis for treatment or an answer to any personal issues related to the topic being discussed before, during, or after the program. So, although this might feel like counseling, no, you need to set you up an appointment. Okay.
Absolutely. I love the disclaimer.
Yes, ma'am. All right. So I want to just dive right on in.
Okay.
Healing, wellness, and restoration. You kind of talked a little bit about it in your
Mhm.
intro. In terms of even your business, you want it to be a place of healing, wellness, and restoration. So when you
Mhm.
think about healing, what do you think of?
When I think about healing, Nicole, I really think about bringing someone to a peaceful resolve about anything that they have encountered,
Mm,
whether it's trauma, some form of mental illness that they are dealing with. And so, really bringing them to a place of alleviating whatever illness or struggle or trauma they may have endured or may be currently enduring, to bring them to a place through different methods, whether it's visualization, whether it is suggestions, whether it is working on different coping skills. So when I think of healing, I think about the real inner work and not just feeling better, because sometimes feeling better can be just momentarily. You know, you might feel better for a second, but still really be plagued mentally, emotionally, spiritually with whatever has happened or is happening. And so when I think of healing, I really think of coming to a place of really alleviating the stress that comes along with things that, people encounter. Sometimes it's
mm,
everyday life that sometimes can leave scars. Sometimes it's very traumatic events, and trauma is subjective,
yeah.
as well as healing. Healing is also subjective. There is a definition per se for healing, but healing is subjective. A person is able to determine, whether they believe they've reached a place for healing. But from my vantage point, it's more of helping them to reach that point of being content, accepting, really being at inner peace with what is going on within them. So that's what I think about when I think about healing. I don't want you to just come and talk and receive and learn coping skills and just feel better for the moment, but I
Mhm.
really want you to have something that is lasting, something that you can always go back to.
No, that's really, really good. And I think the thing that really stuck with me that you mentioned was the inner work,
Hmm.
right? Because we can look a certain way outside. We might look like we have it going on and then we got it all together. But
That's it.
but the inside, my gosh.
That's it.
Whew.
That's
So
it. And that's good, Nicole, because a lot of people put on a good face. A lot of people put on a good mask, but
mm,
sometimes, under that smile or, under the laugh, it's real suffering. And so I'm glad you said that it is the inner work, and that's what people can't see.
mm-hmm. 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 We got a few more folks that have joined us. So I want to acknowledge them. Miss Kesey, who's here. Thank you for joining us. And Miss Keisha, who is also here in Tallahassee. Thank you for joining us. Set. That's wonderful to hear. So, sometimes I think we can be in denial about our need for healing.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. That's good that you said that. And sometimes, I believe we are conditioned just to keep going, especially if you are raised in a certain culture, if you have a certain background, you're taught just to keep it moving.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it does allow for you to kind of disregard the need for healing, disregard acknowledging that some things have deeply affected you,
Mm-hmm.
acknowledging that some things have altered maybe sometimes your personality,
Mm-hmm.
altered how you interact with people. So you're right. Some people just don't really realize the need for healing. And sometimes it takes an event or something to kind of put it in your face that, hey, that this is a problem that you probably want to delve a little bit into to find some healing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, what would be an indicator that some healing is needed?
Hmm. Some of I'll just say the telltale signs of some inner healing or inner work is needed is just, you can just say how you function on a day to day basis. if you notice just some changes about who you are at the core. Maybe your temperament has changed. Maybe you're more short fused now, whereas you used to be patient. Maybe you're a little more cut and dry, where you used to give more grace. So I think how you function on a day to day, maybe you're easily overwhelmed or easily stressed, or you're starting to see some physical symptoms, overly tired, things like that. Interpersonal things and physical things kind of give us indicators of there may need to be some healing because something is going on. How you interact with people. Maybe you're more closed off where you used to be open. Maybe you used to be very outgoing and wanting to be around people, and now you're just the opposite. You never want to be around people. I think those are some indicators that something may have happened, and there's some inner work. Even the way you process things. Maybe you have more of a negative view now, whereas you used to be optimistic. And so I think that things like that are indicators that something may have happened. But just to be honest, Nicole, sometimes we get busy with life. Things keep going, and we learn to just make it the best way we can. And so we don't just stop to notice those things, because sometimes those things that I just named, they can be really subtle. Someone else can notice, like, hey, you're not as patient as you were before, or hey, the way you communicate is a little more sharp and abrupt than it was before. And sometimes when life is happening, you don't notice the little subtleties that kind of indicate that maybe something is going on that's worth paying attention to.
Right. No, all really great points, and I'm hoping that the viewers are. This is resonating with them, because it definitely is resonating with me. I oftentimes think that we don't really truly know ourselves. Like, I feel like we. This is gonna sound probably off the wall, but I think essentially, yes, we do know ourselves. Like, we know what our gifts and talents and that sort of thing, like all of that's already in us. But I think with all of the programming that we've received, the systems that we have to maneuver in, we kind of lose sight of that, right? So we get pulled in so many different directions, trying to maybe please our parents or our friends or our siblings, or what have you, the jobs, and all of these things, right? That we lose ourselves to all of these pulls, these things that are pulling us in all these different directions.
Absolutely.
And so it can be tough to really even know kind of who you are, right?
Right. And it's important that you said that, because we do learn how to just keep in step, how to go with the flow,
Yeah.
how to really conform in a lot of ways, just to keep up, just to keep going, and really knowing yourself, like what I believe you're speaking to, and really noticing those things. It takes you taking a moment to face yourself.
Yeah.
It takes taking that look in the mirror, not just for aesthetics or not just for how you look, but taking that look in the mirror and taking a moment to just say, what's really going on with me?
Yeah.
I encourage asking the question, how am I really doing? We get, even part of programming is people ask you, how you doing? Oh, I'm fine. It's an automatic response. But get into that place of knowing yourself. It takes sitting with yourself sometimes and facing those hard truths about how you're really doing.
Yeah. I'm gonna pause here and get our viewers involved. How y'all doing? Let us know in the comments. How y'all really doing? Let us know. Again, safe space. Please be as transparent as you can. But how are y'all really doing? We want to know. We want to know. I know it's been a lot going on around here in Tallahassee, especially with the recent mass shooting that took place at Florida State's campus last week. And so definitely just taking a moment to send our thoughts and prayers to the loved ones of those who lost their lives and who were injured physically injured, through this incident, but just the trauma that folks are experiencing. I promise you, Tallahassee is so small, and
Yes.
I mean, everybody has a story as it relates to this incident.
Hmm.
Either that they were supposed to be on campus and they didn't go, or they were in the next building over from the incident, or just something, right?
Right.
And so, you know, we gotta give ourselves some grace and some care, right?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. It's necessary.
Yeah.
You know, what I found, Nicole, too, just in this past week, a lot of people don't register trauma as trauma.
Mm,
You know, a
yeah.
lot of people just look at, something bad happened and life kind of goes on. But events like what happened on Florida State campus, those are traumas. Those are traumatic events that
Mhm.
affect you in some kind of way. Like you said, there are different scopes. Some people that were on campus, some people that were near campus, some people that know people, whatever side you find yourself on. Some people don't even register it as trauma. And maybe it's not direct trauma, maybe you weren't there, but just knowing somebody that's there, that's a trauma, because you start to think about sometimes what could have been.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, we got a few comments that I want to acknowledge. Latina, who's down in Tampa, she said, it seems we are always evolving, which makes the identity a consistent unknown, yet a place where I'm required to be aware. Yes, being present, like that is a
Mhm.
whole that is a whole phenomenon in and of itself, right?
Yeah,
Because some people can get caught up in what used to be in the
mhm,
past, and some people can get so wrapped up into the future and,
absolutely.
what could potentially be, right?
Hmm.
So, but just being present right here in this moment, breathing, listening, seeing, touching, smelling, tasting, all of that.
Absolutely.
Like, that is so important. And, I know our presence now is this, right? Because this takes
Hmm.
us around the globe.
Absolutely.
And so, but sometimes we got to put it down. We got to put it down
Hmm.
and just be, right?
That's absolutely right. And you know, that comment is, I get it. We are constantly evolving. We're changing, we're learning as we grow older, as we experience new things. But I really like what you said, Nicole, about being present at this very moment. What is required of you at this very moment? What should you be doing? And as you're growing and experiencing and learning, being able to move along with it and not staying stuck.
Yeah.
I think that is an important part.
Absolutely. All right. So some more folks have chimed in. We got Brother Quasi who joins us from Atlanta. Thank you for being here. All right. Tina said, honest thoughts. I'm tired, angry, saddened, but hopeful and faithful. Thank you for sharing that, Tina. We appreciate it. All right.
Absolutely.
Dr. K, I'm at peace. All right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Seta, she said it's been a traumatic week. That's for sure, causing me to check more on my people.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Seta. Keisha, I'm realizing as I experience life, my healing comes from knowing the why, and I don't have to understand the way. Ooh, that's a whole show right there. That is a whole show. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for sharing that, Keisha. I appreciate it. Um, he said definitely felt indirect trauma from the FSU incident last week. Yes, thank you for sharing. Yeah, that it was a day, and it's been a few days actually.
Absolutely.
Kesey, this is good. Thank you, Kesey. And Seta said the resurrection celebration brought some relief. Nice. Nice. So, I characterize what you just said, Seta, as spiritual wellness. And
Mhm.
I think that's a good segue to the wellness discussion. You know,
Absolutely.
what does wellness look like? I too am a believer, and
Mhm.
I believe that we are spirit beings that have souls that live in these bodies. And with
Mhm.
that in mind, what are we doing to elevate our spiritual wellness? What are we doing to
Mhm.
uh, elevate our physical wellness, our mental wellness, our emotional wellness, our social wellness, our environmental wellness, our financial wellness, our vocational wellness, right?
Right.
Uh,
Right.
so all of those dimensions of wellness, we have to focus on, and they're not all gonna be at 100% all simultaneously, right?
Mhm. And that's good. I'm glad you named all of those aspects of wellness, because most people, when they think of wellness, they just think in one area.
Mm,
And some people favor one area or think about or place more attention to one area than others. But wellness truly is holistic. It's the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual part of you being in a state of contentment, being uh as free as possible of distress, being able to um, handle the stressors of a life well, in a place that is healthy, having a good outlook on what's going on. And so wellness to me is all encompassing, being in a place where you're not constantly stressed out. Yes, there are stressors and things that we encounter daily. That's just life. But
mhm,
wellness speaks to being at really a state of contentment and being able to handle in a healthy way things that are going on. And when I say in a healthy way, things handling things in a way that is not causing further distress,
mhm,
handling things in a way that is causing you to have just a positive, healthy outlook on the way things are going to turn out. And so when I think of wellness, I do think of wellness in all aspects, caring for your mind as well as your body, as well as your spirit, as well as, your relationships. And so I look at wellness, as a as an all encompassing thing.
yeah.
Um, and that's what I focus on. Like, don't just put attention to one spot because it creates an imbalance.
Mm,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, how do we get to wellness? I mean, I know we're talking about balancing, but it seems like we kind of got to be a little bit of a jack or Jill of all trades in some
Mhm.
regards to,
Yeah.
make sure the financial wellness is intact, the social, the environmental, the vocational, the mental, the spiritual, the physical.
Mhm.
We're doing a number of things, right? Because it's
Absolutely.
holistic.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I would not say, Nicole, that there is just one way to achieve all of these things.
Mm,
Of course, all of these things are ever changing. They're always moving parts.
right.
But I believe the track to wellness starts with placing attention where attention needs to be placed. When
Mm,
you are aware, or when you become aware that something is lacking, you place attention to that, and doing it in a way where it's to not overwhelm yourself, because you can easily become overwhelmed when you think about, man, I got to balance my finances. I got to
yes.
balance the different roles that I play, whether it's a wife or a mother or
Yeah.
whatever,
Mhm.
that can become overwhelming, but it's placing sufficient attention to the areas that are needed. And that may look different, for me and you. It's really
Mhm.
based on how your life is set up and how your capacity is, just placing areas of attention, not being negligent. So if you know that in the area of finances, some attention needs to be placed there, you place attention there. If you
Yeah.
know in the area of mental wellness, you need to place some attention there. It could be, you know, obtaining a therapist. It could be placing more attention to self-care. It could be placing more attention on self-love, self-worth, and value. It could
Mm,
be placing more attention on relationships,
yeah.
building and maintaining those. So I think you get started by placing attention, where attention is needed, in a way as to not become overwhelmed, because
Mhm.
there'll always be things to do. There'll always be areas to improve.
Yeah.
But it's a constant work.
Indeed. No, I think that's really good. So again, we come back to self-awareness, right?
Mhm.
And recognizing those things that might be lacking, and hopefully there'll be some warning signs or something, some alarms that ring that say, oh goodness, this is lacking, or I need to pay more attention to this or elevate this or what have you. So um
Right.
yeah.
And something, Nicole, I kind of tell my clients, because a lot of people actually want to be self-aware. They want to know what's going on before it's too late. And when I say too late, like you're already at a point where you're just overwhelmed and in shutdown mode. A
Mm,
lot of people want to know that. And something that I do encourage my clients to do is do a daily check-in with
mm,
asking yourself that very real question: how are you really doing?
mm,
It causes you to place attention on, okay, how am I doing mentally? Where are my thoughts? You know, what is occupying my mental space?
yeah.
Asking yourself, how am I really doing emotionally? What am I feeling? Can I identify those feelings? I encourage my clients to look at the feelings wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Got a bunch of pillows in my office. Tell me what feelings you're feeling, asking yourself how you're doing. Spiritually, like some people feel like they've lost their way. So I encourage people to ask yourself, in truth, how are you really doing,
Yeah.
because it helps you to identify those warning signs or those red flags that you just wouldn't if you're just going day to day. I get up, I get dressed, I go to work. After work, I come home and do whatever my activities of daily living are. And then I go to bed and start all over. It's
Mm,
easy to miss those things. But if you stop and take a moment and just ask yourself, how am I really doing? And answer honestly, you're able to recognize those things, and it helps you to become more self aware.
yeah, no, that's real good. Real good. So that daily check-in.
Mm-hmm.
Daily check-in. Yeah, I love that. I love that. All right. Well, we are a little more than halfway through our talk.
Okay.
So those of you who may be just tuning in, I am on with Miss Brittany Payne Bruce, who is a licensed mental health counselor here in Tallahassee, and we are talking about healing, wellness, and restoration. Healing, wellness, and restoration. And on that healing piece, we just talked about the importance of daily check-ins. Now, sometimes we can be, again, that denial, like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, like, how do we get over that denial hump? So
Yeah.
trying
Yeah.
to figure that out, Brittany.
And if you notice, Nicole, I keep saying in truth, like denial. And a piece that I didn't mention: stand in the mirror and really look at yourself and
Mhm.
ask yourself. Now, if you lie to yourself looking at yourself in the mirror, then we may need to schedule a session. But but
Yes, ma'am.
seriously, like a lot of times when you face yourself, it's a little bit harder to deny what you see.
Mm,
When you're looking at yourself and asking yourself how you're really doing, look at your countenance.
mm,
Has your smile faded a little bit? You
mm,
know, think about, like I talked about with the mental check-in, what has been occupying your mind? Where are
mm,
your thoughts? It's hard to deny that when your thoughts are mostly negative or when your thoughts are mostly pessimistic, that you're okay. That's not a good indicator. Like that's not parallel that you're okay. When you see that you're having a hard time smiling, or there's weariness when you look in the mirror, or
mm.
you just have the kind of I don't care. It's really hard to say I'm okay when those things are going on. So
Yeah.
the real way you look at denial is by looking at the facts.
Mm,
If you had to say, this is a person that looks okay, a person that is able to healthily go throughout their day without just barely making it.
mhm,
If you had to put a picture of a person that's okay next to your picture, would they match? And so
mm,
getting over the denial is really having real moments with yourself, or even ask somebody else, what do you see?
mm,
Usually the people closest to us, they'll tell us like, you're okay.
mm,
They may not come out and say, you're not smiling as much. But if you're often getting questions like, are you okay? Is everything okay? Is something going on? That could be an indicator too that somebody sees something,
mhm.
that is not quite right.
That's good. Really, really good. All
Mhm.
right, we got a question. Miss Shanita said, Miss Bruce, I really do not like that mental illness has become a catch-all term. Can you explain the difference between mental illness, mental disorder, and neurological thinking differences? Ooh.
Yes, yes, yes. So when you talk about mental illness or a mental disorder, um, what professionals are really talking about is something that is diagnosable through the DSM-5
Right.
TR. And neurological and thinking differences, those may not be, termed mental illness. That we all think differently. We all think differently based on learning, based on experiences. And so mental illness, mental disorders are things that are diagnosable by a professional.
Mm,
A lot of people do walk around saying, I believe this person is, they throw around words like bipolar and
mm,
schizophrenic and stuff like
yeah.
that. But when it comes to mental disorders, I'm specifically talking about those things that are diagnosable according to criteria. And neurological thinking and differences is it's unique to everybody. People think differently, like I said, based on your learning, based on your experience. It's just different. So you're right. Everything, mental illness is not a catch-all uh,
Right.
term, but it is used that way. So thank you, Miss Janita, for bringing that out.
Mm-hmm. So someone just texted me and said that sometimes when the person responds that they're not okay, or even if you say it to yourself, I'm not okay, they don't know what to do next.
Absolutely. And that's really good. You are right. You're right.
Mhm.
I think the very first important step is getting to that point where you can respond honestly and say, because the first step is acknowledgement. So
Mhm.
when you can say that, I think it brings you to a point of sobriety to say, you know what, I'm not okay. And then I would encourage that person to reach out for help. It is important who you go to,
Mhm.
because while people may have good intentions, it does not mean that that they are the appropriate person to go through. So the person who can come to the truth that they're not okay is asking yourself, okay, what am I willing to do about it?
Mm.
Am I willing to seek professional help? I
Mm.
believe that the stigma is somewhat fading and people are becoming more open to professional help as far as counseling, and some people, are open to the medication route. But you explore what's best for you. Maybe you do need to see a professional, whether it's a coach, whether it's a counselor, whether
Mm.
it's a spiritual advisor, someone that can help you identify what some next steps are, that can help you identify what's really going on and what's the solution to it. And so I always encourage reaching out for help.
Yeah.
If you were I like to use examples of, just physical things. If you were drowning, you would call out for help. You would,
Mm.
so same thing mentally and emotionally. It's okay to ask for help, but ask for help from the right people. And as I was saying, while a lot of people are well intentioned and want the best for you, they just may not be the qualified person to help you. So
Mhm.
I would
Okay.
just say ask for help.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good too. Um, I think sometimes pride gets in the way.
Hmm.
I think our thoughts about not wanting to be a burden,
Hmm.
uh, not wanting to bother anybody, or um, just like I said, pride can also be
Yeah.
a thing too.
That's very real, Nicole.
Mm,
And I'm very honest with my clients. And one thing
good.
that, when we deal with the pride issue, I just kind of ask the question, not in a derogatory way. That question is, has what you have been doing been working?
Mm,
If it hasn't, then it forces you to do something else. So pride keeps you stuck. A lot of times, pride keeps you in the same cycle and pride keeps you doing the same things. But if you have not seen favorable results, then it forces you to ask yourself the question, do I want to stay here or do I want to do something different to move? And
mm,
so, while pride is a very real thing, when you want to be different, do different, it forces you to make different choices.
That's good. Very, very good. I hope y'all are getting that. Those some really, really great questions that be asking yourself. Like, is this what how has this been working for me? And if it hasn't been working so well, you know, do I want to stay here and be unhappy, be miserable, or do I want to change? So
Yeah.
yes, Dr. K said bingo. Queen Pat is on here. She said pride is major, especially with men. Woo.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
not going Queen Pat. I'm not gonna say nothing else. All right, we got King Solomon on. Thank you for being here, brother. He said, "Is tying mental illness to violence another sign of misdiagnosis, or does one really lead to the other?" Thanks in advance.
Sometimes violence could be a result or a sign of something, a mental diagnosis, I'll say that. But it could be a sign of a misdiagnosis.
Mhm.
To answer that in one way, I think would be faulty. One could lead to the other. A misdiagnosis could lead to someone acting violently because someone missed something, or someone being diagnosed and maybe it being ignored could lead to violence. So I think to answer that in one way would be faulty, but I think it's both. I think we've seen in society where there's an act of violence and the automatic thing is they have a mental disorder. And sometimes I just believe, personal belief, that it was a choice. And sometimes mental illness is used as a scapegoat. But
Yeah.
sometimes there really is something wrong that has not been properly treated that results in violence.
Okay. Uh, Thank you for your question, Solomon. All right, Cool Azul. Well, I'm not sure who Cool Azul is, but some don't ask the questions to self. They keep doing same or another poor choice, which is true.
Hmm.
And it's a trauma response pattern learned. It could be. I mean, it's possible,
Hmm.
but without, you know, assessing everything, it's kind of hard to say. Tracy Golash. Well, no. Oh, I don't know who O is, but hey, CNN from Miami. Hey. And Tracy, great questions. Thank you, Tracy. So I want to, in these, last few moments that we have, get to the restoration piece, although, I
Hmm.
know the wellness piece is big too, but restoration, when you think of restoration, tell me what your thoughts are as it relates to that.
My thoughts regarding restoration is just reestablishing some structure. And I say this word loosely because it can also be subjective. Reestablishing to a place of quote unquote normal functioning, which may be different for you and for me. So being restored to that place after, whether it's a mental, emotional struggle, after there's been some kind of disruption to who you are, to how you function. Restoration is being really reestablished to that place, reestablished to that foundation, whether it's a mental or emotional state.
So I'm gonna play Angel's advocate here.
Okay.
Because there are some people who live or have been raised in what I would term dysfunction and
Mm-hmm.
have normalized it, have
Mm-hmm.
normalized the dysfunction, and what would be, I guess, normal to most folks is foreign to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not normal to them.
True, true. So when I speak of restoration, wellness, or healing,
Mhm.
I am speaking of restoration to a healthy state, a healthy functioning.
I knew
And
that's what you were gonna
so
say. I knew that's
to
what you were gonna say.
yeah, restoration to your best self. And you are so right. Some people are raised in what some would term dysfunction.
Mm,
Because, and I say some would term because a lot of people feel like their dysfunction is normal. And so when I talk about healing, wellness, and restoration, I am talking to a healthy place where you can be productive, where
Mhm.
you can be efficient, where you can live in a place of fulfillment of whatever your God-given purpose is. When I speak of restoration, I'm speaking in that lane to a healthy place. And prayerfully by the time, you know, you leave my services that I provide, you have identified some places of dysfunction, or some places that are not the best places, and kind of work through those things. And so for a lot of people, maybe it won't be restoration to what was before, because maybe
Mhm.
what was before wasn't healthy, but
Yeah.
maybe it's being getting to a healthy place, just period.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Okay. Keisha said, I'm glad you mentioned pride because some don't know they're okay. If you're following the Jones, you're okay, maybe faulty, and tap into mental personalities and don't even know it. So, what I'm hearing based on what you said, Keisha, is kind of a keeping up with the Joneses piece,
Mhm.
which that, you don't know what the Joneses did to get whatever they got, and their journey is going to be different than yours.
And you don't really know if the Joneses really have it, you know.
Exactly. Exactly. And they may be presenting as such, but in the meantime,
Hmm.
so you gotta walk it out yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you gotta
Absolutely.
walk it out yourself. All right. So how do we get to the place of the restoration to a healthy place?
As I stated before, start off with being truthful about where you really are.
Mhm.
Determine where you would like to be.
Mm,
Part of therapy, well, a major part of therapy is goal setting. You
mm,
have to know where you want to end up. I ask every client the question, why are you here? What would you like to accomplish? So if you know where you're going, you can work through the things to get there. Everybody's journey will look different. So identify in truth where you are, identify where you want to go, and then work on the steps in between. Work on visualizing what it would take to get there, some tangible steps of what it would take to get there. And oftentimes, people find themselves where, you've made some progress along, but you just need a little more help. And there's nothing wrong with that.
yeah.
You seek out people, and things that will help you to reach whatever goals that you set. And
Mm,
so everything starts off with truth, with honesty. Have an honest conversation with yourself,
yeah.
and, make up your mind that where you are is not where you want to remain. And
Mhm.
then you're open and willing to take the steps necessary.
No, that's good. Regrowing Renee said, "What are some ways one can get to a healthy place of restoration when surrounded by dysfunction?"
Hmm.
Mhm.
So there are a couple ways I can answer this.
Okay.
Sometimes restoration requires you to change your surroundings.
Mm,
If you cannot change your surroundings, you change to a place where you can create healthy boundaries to get where you need to be. So if dysfunction is where you live and you don't see a way out, you determine what in you needs to change to help you to get to a healthy place. And
mm,
so for some people, it may look like, you know what, I'm getting away from this dysfunction. I can't change my relatives. I can't change certain things in life, but I can change how I function in them. And
mm,
so, couple different ways. Either you, if possible, change your surroundings, or you determine what needs to be different about you so that you don't operate in the dysfunction that you're around. It's very possible to be around dysfunction, but not be dysfunctional.
mm. That was good. It's very possible to be around dysfunction, but not be dysfunctional.
Mhm.
It's challenging. It is challenging. But
Definitely didn't say it was going to be easy. Several things. You may need to set some boundaries. And that may look like, just for example, if you're always surrounded by dysfunctional conversation, your boundary could be, don't bring that to me. I don't want to hear it. Take it somewhere else. Sounds mean, but that's a boundary. You
Mm,
protect your own ear gates. You say that's not a conversation that I want to be a part of. And so y'all talk about it all you want to, but just don't bring it to me. It's a boundary. And
mm.
so you're not changing what's around you, you're changing how you function within it.
That's good. That's real good. Okay. Whew. So restoration is possible. It is very,
It
very
is.
possible. Even if if you grew up or were reared in dysfunction, it is still possible to uh, be restored to a healthy place.
Absolutely. You
Uh,
can choose to live differently.
You can choose to live differently. Yes.
Mhm.
All right, we got Dr. Iris on with us. She said it's hard to heal in a place where everyone is sick. Sometimes separation is important. You can always go back with mental protection once you have healed enough to navigate the situation without further damaging yourself. Nice. Thank you for sharing that, Iris. Appreciate it. No, that's a really great point. Because sometimes it's hard to fight it all off. It really is.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
is. So sometimes you got to separate yourself.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
This is true.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you would have us know that we have not already chatted about?
Um, Something that I promote when talking about healing, wellness, and restoration is caring for you.
Mm,
Um, Caring for you is important. Loving yourself enough to do something different about where you are if you see it's not where you desire to be.
mhm,
And sometimes people look at caring for you as selfish, but
mhm,
it's not. Um, we live in a world where there are a lot of helpful people, and you want to help others and you want to do for others, but you cannot do for others if you are not well yourself. And
mhm,
so, something I promote is really caring for you to get to the point where you are healed, well, and restored so that you can really affect, the environments that you're around and that you're around other people. So, I really promote self care, self love, doing things for you, not from a place of selfishness, but from a place of knowing that I cannot pour from an empty cup.
mhm.
It's going to be air.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you definitely don't want that.
Hmm.
All right. So self care, self love, loving yourself. And is that going to the spa? What is that?
It could be. This is what I tell people, because I really believe that a lot of people shoot in the dark when it comes from when it comes to talking about self care. It
Uh,
could be going to the spa.
Okay.
This is a rule of thumb that I kind of tell people with self care. It is an intentional act to pour into you,
Mhm.
an intentional act to pour into you. So I've heard a lot of things when it comes to self care. It's kind of like I go to the grocery store for self care, and nothing is wrong with going to the grocery store. Great if you like going to the grocery store, but typically when you're going to the grocery store, you're getting groceries for everybody else too.
All
It's
right.
inclusive. Self care is an intentional act, which means I am setting aside time to do something that pours into me, that restores me in some kind of capacity, whether it's mentally, physically, or emotionally. So if you're going to the spa intentionally to be rejuvenated, to have some time where you gain some mental clarity, some emotional clarity. Yes, it's going to feel good physically, but it has to be an intentional act that is focused on restoring you in some kind of way.
Somebody just texted and said, "Oh, she talking about me going to the grocery store."
It happens, Nicole. I hear people say all the time. And I'm like, well, were you grocery shopping just for you?
No, she's trying to
More
get
than
rid
likely
of them
not.
kids. That's all that was.
Exactly. So
That's
listen,
all that was.
I'm not knocking going to the grocery store. Please, by all means, go because I want you to have your groceries. But I'm saying, yeah, let's not use that as self care. Pick something else.
Oh, okay, I'm so weak right now. Right. All right. Let's see. So yes, Miss Jeanette, thank you for being here, Miss Jeanette. She's in Miami Garden. She said enjoyed the conversation, living this topic, taking it one day at a time. Thank you. You're welcome, Miss Jeanette. All right. Stephanie says self-care is a priority.
Mhm.
Yes. Dr. K, you can set the standards. Yes. You can do hard things. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh goodness. Stephanie, I'd like to have a me day home alone in my comfy PJs and digitally disconnected. Yes,
absolutely.
love it. That's the question. How do you all self-care? Let us know in the comments. How do you self-care? Iris, yes, self-care is 100% important. I think a sign of healing and restoration is when you realize that self-care is necessary and vital to mental health. Yes. It's when you no longer feel guilty for doing something good for you.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. All right. King Solomon had another comment. He said, I have seen most of the time negativity overpowering positivity. Does spirituality play a part in this conversation, or is that something you want to keep separate?
It can be a part.
Yeah.
If that is what you subscribe to, personally, I do believe that spirituality plays a part in it. What you choose to believe and focusing on that. Um, but yeah, that is totally up to the individual.
Yes, Solomon, you joined us a little late, but yes, Brittany is a believer. We talked about spiritual wellness, the importance of spiritual wellness. Um, wellness being because that's part of the topic, but wellness being holistic. And so I guess depending on what your spiritual practice is, hopefully it's surrounded with positivity and love. Um, you know, that hopefully that will overtake the negativity. So we just leave it at that. But yes, that's part of it. Well, absolutely. Cannot separate it. All right. So we got a few folks chiming in on how they self-care. So walking, somebody
Mhm.
said, yes, yes, yes. Love that. All right. Solomon said, thanks, both of you. You're welcome. All right. Anybody else? Nobody else does self-care besides Steph and the fan who walks. Self-care. Listen, self-care for me is a massage once a month.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
counseling.
Listen, you'd be surprised. Like a lot of people, one of the commenters said it's a priority. It is. But you'd be surprised how many people don't practice it because a lot of the things that I hear is I don't have time, or some people believe that self care always costs money, and it doesn't. So.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. No, Ira, Zumba, dance, beach, yes, love all of that. Reading, journaling, yes, 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 all of that. Yes, thank you for sharing so much. Appreciate it. All right. Uh, my text has said overdue for a float appointment. So you need to go floating, ma'am, right now. Set up the appointment. Book it online today so you could go floating. All right, Miss Queen Pat said retreating from everyone and everything works for me. Love it. Yeah, I remember I had a show with Jamil and we talked about how mamas can't escape in the bathrooms no more. So they stay in the car when they drive home to have a few extra minutes in the car.
I've heard that. Yep. I've heard it.
Oh goodness, like you want me to stay in this car for these few extra minutes because if I come in the house now, it's not gonna be nice. So let me like unwind.
That is a reality.
It is. All right, Janita, I love therapy. I found that it's not about doing what my therapist says, it's about doing what I say, what I want, using the tools, talk, and accountability. Therapy is self care. Absolutely. I like coloring and word finders. Yes. Love it. All right, Keisha, I am trying to figure out what my self-care is. What I'm used to is not conducive to my environment. All right, well, we got to find it, Keisha.
And
Explore.
can I just say something on that? I encourage my clients to explore.
I was
It
just
may
about to say
be
that.
Yeah, it may be something that you have never done before. It may be something that is totally unfamiliar to you. Just explore.
Mhm.
It's new ways of finding out about you as well.
Yes. Keisha, I have a 99 coping skills list that I'm gonna send you. So you can try some of those things on there. If you think like I don't know what I can try. They got a lot of good ideas on there. So all right. Well, we have actually come, I think, to the closing of our conversation. So I'm gonna give you an opportunity to give some closing remarks and tell folks how they can connect with you.
Yes, yes, yes. So, first, thank you so much for having me on here. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I just want to tell people, prioritize you. Yes, focus on healing in those places that you have identified that need them. Focus on becoming well and being restored to your best self, to your God given identity. If you need help, don't hesitate to reach out for help. Reach out to qualified professionals who can really help you. My services are available. You can reach me by phone. Text is best. A lot of times I'm in and out of sessions and can't answer, but I will answer your text. Or you can email me if you want to start your journey to healing, wellness, and restoration.
Love it. And you are serving Florida and Georgia,
I
correct?
am serving Florida and Georgia. Yes.
All right. So let's please keep this conversation going. Y'all reach out to Brittany if you need some help. We talked about not being afraid to ask for help. So she is here. She is here. She is here. Kendra, gym, walking, soak, massage, reading, exploring new activities, cities, etc. Study my Bible, play with my godson. Love it. All great. T. Scott is in the house. Love it. He said, I recently got into hiking and camping. Come on, country boy. Just something about being in nature. Yes, there's absolutely something about being in nature. Thank you so much for sharing, Terrence. Appreciate you so much. Yeah, this has been great. This has been great. So yes, let's please keep this conversation going. Share this link with someone, tag them in the comments, and let's be about healing, wellness, and restoration. We need that. We need all of that in our lives right now. Right now. Um,
Absolutely.
Yes. So for those of you who may have been new to the platform, I don't know because I can't see everybody. Subscribe to Conversations with Nicole. We're here Mondays and Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Focus on mental health and wellness, especially in Black and Brown communities, and encouraging us to get our checkup from the neck up and be our very best selves. All right. Um, we will be here on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Wednesday is National Vagina Appreciation Day, and we will be talking about womanhood, celebrating womanhood. Me and Sonia Benson, Sonia B, gearing up for our Poom Poom Party, which is happening this coming Sunday here in Tallahassee at Southwood. You can check out Conversations with Nicole Facebook page for more information about that, as well as the real Nicole Everett on IG. Um, it's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a good time. So, we need to talk about that as well. So, at any rate, thank you so much, Brittany. This has been a
Thank
great
you.
conversation. Yes. And y'all, again, hit her up because, we need to be well. We need to be healed. We need to be well. We need to be restored. And Brittany is here to help you get there. All right. Y'all have a great rest of the night, and we'll see you next time. Bye.